Title: The Day of Shadows. In the small village of Ijebu in Nigeria, a 15-year-old girl named Ada lived with her parents. Every morning she would wake up early, brush her teeth, and get ready for school. Ada loved learning and dreamed of becoming a doctor one day. Her village was filled with beautiful trees, friendly people, and vibrant markets, but it also harbored dark secrets that whispered through the shadows. One bright morning, the sun shone through Ada's window, casting a warm glow in her small room. She quickly ate her breakfast of yam porridge, kissed her parents goodbye, and set off for school. The air was filled with the sweet smell of flowers, and birds chirped joyfully in the trees. Ada walked along the dusty road, humming her favorite song, unaware that this day would change her life forever. As she made her way to school, she greeted her neighbors with a smile. "Good morning, Auntie Ife," she called to an elderly woman tending her garden. "Good morning, Ada. You look lovely today," Auntie Ife replied, her wrinkled face breaking into a smile. Ada's heart swelled with warmth. She loved her village and its people. However, as Ada continued her journey, she noticed a group of men standing by the roadside. They looked rough and unfriendly, their eyes scanning the street. A chill ran down her spine, but she tried to ignore them. Focused on the path ahead, she thought about the math test she had prepared for the night before. Suddenly, one of the men called out to her in a deep, scary voice, "Hey, little girl. I'm here." Ada's heart raced. She knew she should not talk to strangers. Picking up her pace, she hoped to evade them, but the men were quicker than she anticipated. Before she knew it, two of them grabbed her arms. "Let me go," she screamed, struggling to break free. Panic filled her mind as she realized she was being taken away. Despite her fierce resistance, Ada was thrown into a van parked nearby. The door slammed shut, and she felt the cold metal against her back. As the van drove off, her heart sank. She felt scared and utterly alone. The men inside laughed cruelly. "Don't worry, little girl. You will be just fine," one of them sneered. Ada didn't believe him. She recalled the stories her mother told her about people who disappeared. Tears filled her eyes, but she wiped them away, reminding herself to be brave. After what felt like hours, the van finally stopped. Ada was pulled out and taken into an old, abandoned building. It was dark and smelled terrible, like something had died long ago. The men locked her in a small room and left her there. Sitting on the cold floor, Ada's mind raced with thoughts of escape. She knew she had to find a way out. Looking around, she spotted a small window high up on the wall. She stood up and tried to reach it, but it was too high. Frustrated, she took a deep breath and remembered what her father always told her: "Stay calm and think clearly in tough times." She listened carefully, hoping to hear any sign of help outside. Hours passed, and despair began to settle in. Hugging her knees to her chest, Ada fought back tears. Just then she heard faint voices outside her door. Hope flickered in her chest. She listened carefully. "I can't believe we took that girl. What if someone finds out?" one voice said. "Relax. No one knows we are here. Just keep watch," the other replied. Ada knew she had to act fast. She looked around again and saw a rusty old chair in the corner. Grabbing it, she banged it against the door, hoping someone would hear. Suddenly the door swung open. A man peeked inside, surprised by the noise. Ada seized her chance and hurled the chair at him. He stumbled back, giving her the opportunity to dash past him into the dark hallway. Her heart pounded as she ran, desperate to escape. She heard shouting behind her but didn't dare stop. Finally, she reached a door at the end of the hall. It was locked, but Ada was determined. She spotted a metal pipe on the ground and grabbed it, banging on the door until it broke open. Stepping outside, she was met by bright daylight, but she was now in a thick forest. The trees were tall, and the air felt fresh yet intimidating. She took a moment to breathe, listening for the men's voices echoing in the distance. She knew she had to run deeper into the jungle, dodging branches and thorny bushes, her mind focused on getting home. As she ran, Ada stumbled upon a small stream. She paused to drink some water, trying to calm her racing heart. She realized she couldn't stay here for long. The men would be searching for her. After a while, she heard footsteps behind her and fear gripped her once more. Quickly, she hid behind a large tree, holding her breath as two of the men appeared, scanning the area. She can't have gone far, one said. Split up and search the area. Ada watched them walk away, her heart pounding in her chest. She knew she had to keep moving. Once the men were out of earshot, she continued on her way, pushing through the dense foliage. As she ventured through the jungle, Ada felt small and vulnerable, but she was determined to find a way back home. Each step felt heavy with fear, yet her will to survive was stronger than the fear gripping her heart. After what felt like hours of running, Ada finally spotted a small hut in the distance. Her heart leaped with hope. Maybe someone lived there who could help her. Approaching cautiously, she saw an old woman sitting outside, weaving a basket. When the woman noticed Ada, her eyes widened in shock. "Oh my! What happened to you, child?" she asked, rushing over. Ada quickly explained everything, her words tumbling out in a rush. The woman, named Mom Nkechi, listened carefully, her expression turning serious. "You must hide here. Those men are dangerous," she said, ushering Ada inside and locking the door behind her. Inside the hut, Ada felt a mix of relief and fear. Mom Nkechi provided her with food and water. "You are brave, my child," she said soothingly. "But we must find a way to get you back home." Ada nodded, feeling stronger with Mom Nkechi's support. They sat together and devised a plan. Mom Nkechi knew the jungle well and had a few tricks up her sleeve to outsmart the men. As night approached, Mom Nkechi prepared to leave the hut. They planned to sneak through the jungle at midnight when the men would be busy searching for Ada. Mom Nkechi handed Ada a small bag filled with food and water, reminding her to stay close and be quiet. As they moved through the trees, the sounds of the jungle surrounded them. Ada felt a mix of fear and hope. She could see the flickering lights of her village in the distance, drawing her closer to safety. Suddenly they heard voices. The men were nearby. Ada's heart raced. "Quick, hide," Mom Nkechi whispered. They crouched behind a large bush, holding their breath as the men passed by, talking loudly. "Don't worry. We'll find her," one of them said, his voice full of menace. Ada felt cold fear wash over her, but she knew they had to wait until it was safe. After a tense few minutes, the voices faded away. Mom Nkechi and Ada crawled out from their hiding place and continued their journey, careful to remain quiet. Finally they reached the edge of the jungle. Ada could see the familiar path leading to her village. Tears of joy welled in her eyes. "We made it," she whispered, her heart soaring. But just as they stepped onto the path, they heard shouting again. The men had found them. "There she is," one of them yelled. Ada's heart dropped.
Title: Mama Nkechi grabbed Ada's hand tightly. "Run. Don't look back," she shouted, and they sprinted down the path, the men hot on their heels. Ada ran as fast as she could, the village growing closer with each stride. Just then, she spotted a group of villagers gathering for a meeting. "Help! Help!" Ada screamed, her voice filled with desperation. The villagers turned and saw the danger. They quickly rushed to help Ada and Mom Nkechi. The men hesitated, realizing they were outnumbered. "Get her," one of the men shouted, but the villagers stood strong, ready to fight for Ada's safety. Ada felt a rush of hope as the villagers formed a protective barrier around her. A fierce fight broke out. The villagers used whatever they could find to defend Ada. Mama Nkechi fought bravely alongside them, her spirit fierce. Ada felt a surge of courage watching her village come together, their strength shining in the face of danger. The men, realizing they could not win, fled into the jungle. The villagers cheered, and Ada felt a wave of relief wash over her. She was safe. Rushing to her parents' house, Ada burst through the door. "I thought I lost you," her mother cried, enveloping her in a tight embrace. "I'm home now," Ada said, feeling safe in her mother's arms. The villagers gathered around, celebrating their victory and praising Ada's bravery and Mama Nkechi's wisdom. From that day on, Ada never took her safety for granted. She continued to go to school, but she also learned self-defense from Mom and Ketchy. She wanted to be strong for herself and for others. The village worked together to ensure everyone felt safe. They formed watch groups, patrolling the area and keeping an eye out for any signs of danger. Ada joined these groups, feeling empowered and determined to protect her community. Months passed, and Ada grew more resolute. She studied hard and shared her dreams of becoming a doctor with the villagers, who encouraged her, knowing she would one day help many people. One day, while helping Mom and Ketchy in her garden, Ada expressed, "I want to help people who are hurt, just like you helped me." Mama and Ketchy smiled, her eyes shining with pride. "You will, my child. Remember, bravery is in your heart." Ada felt a deep connection with Mom and Ketchy, who had become her mentor and friend. As time went on, Ada excelled in her studies. Her teachers praised her dedication and hard work. She often volunteered to help younger students, teaching them what she had learned. The village recognized her efforts, and she became a role model for many. Years later, Ada became a doctor, fulfilling her dream. She returned to her village and opened a clinic to help those in need. The villagers celebrated her achievements, proud of the girl who had turned her fear into strength. Ada's clinic became a beacon of hope in the village. It was a place where people came for treatment and advice, and Ada treated them with care and compassion. One day, a young girl named Chica came to the clinic after falling from a tree and injuring her leg. As Ada bandaged her wound, Chica looked up with wide eyes and asked, "Are you a real doctor?" Ada smiled. "Yes, I am. And one day, you can be a doctor too," she replied, encouraging her. "Just remember, bravery and kindness are the most important qualities." Chica's eyes sparkled with excitement. "I want to help people like you do," she exclaimed. Ada felt a warm glow in her heart, knowing she was inspiring the next generation. The village continued to thrive, with Ada at the heart of it all. Festivals and gatherings became more frequent, celebrating life and unity. The villagers shared laughter and joy, knowing they had each other's backs. Ada organized health fairs, providing free checkups and education about nutrition. Children laughed and played around her, filling the air with joy. Even as challenges arose, Ada faced them with courage. She never forgot the lessons learned from her past and used her experiences to fuel her passion for helping others. One day, while walking through the village, Ada noticed a young boy sitting alone, looking sad. She approached him and asked, "What's wrong?" "My mother is sick, and we can't afford medicine," he replied, tears in his eyes. Ada's heart ached for him. "Let's go to the clinic. We will find a way to help her," she said gently, taking his hand. At the clinic, Ada quickly examined the boy's mother and diagnosed her with a common illness. With the support of the villagers, they provided the necessary treatment without charging the family. The boy's face lit up with gratitude. "Thank you, Ada. You saved my mother," he exclaimed, hugging her tightly. Ada smiled, feeling the warmth of community spirit. "We are all in this together," she replied, her heart swelling with love for her village. As the years passed, Ada never forgot the day she was taken. She often shared her story with others, emphasizing the importance of being aware and cautious. Her experiences became lessons for the villagers, a reminder of the strength they had as a community. On the anniversary of her abduction, the village held a gathering to honor those who had suffered and to celebrate their resilience. Ada spoke about bravery, hope, and the power of coming together. As Ada continued her work, she also pursued further studies to specialize in pediatric medicine. Her desire to help children grew stronger, and she became an advocate for children's health in her region. With the support of her village, Ada applied for scholarships and attended medical conferences. She learned new techniques and brought back valuable knowledge to her community, always eager to share what she had learned. Years later, she opened a second clinic in a neighboring village, spreading her mission of hope and healing. Ada trained local women in basic healthcare, empowering them to care for their families and communities. As Ada stood in her clinic one day, surrounded by her staff and patients, she felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She had come so far from that frightened girl in the van. Now, she was a beacon of hope for many. One day, a young girl came to her clinic, looking nervous. "I want to be a doctor like you," she said shyly. Ada knelt down to her level, smiling warmly. "You can do it. Just believe in yourself and work hard. Remember, you're stronger than you think," she encouraged. The village grew stronger under Ada's care. People began to work together more, organizing health camps and wellness programs. They educated one another about health and safety, creating a united front against any future threats. Ada often spoke to the villagers about the importance of staying vigilant. "We must look out for one another," she would say. "Together, we are stronger." The village thrived, and Ada's clinic became a central hub for knowledge and healing. Villagers brought their children for checkups, and families shared stories of hope and resilience. As Ada prepared to retire, she reflected on her life's work. She had built a clinic that would continue to serve the community, training young people to take over and keep the legacy alive. On her last day at the clinic, the villagers organized a celebration. They gathered to honor her contributions, sharing stories of how she had impacted their lives. As Ada stood before everyone, she felt a deep sense of fulfillment. "Thank you all for believing in me," she said, tears of joy in her eyes. "Together, we have created something beautiful." Years later, Ada received a letter from the village council. They wanted to honor her by naming the clinic after her. Tears welled in her eyes as she read the words, "The Ada Clinic." Ada felt an overwhelming sense of pride. She had turned her fear into strength, and her story would inspire generations to come. As the sun set over Ijibu, Ada reflected on her life's journey. She had faced darkness, but emerged into the light, and now she had helped others do the same. She smiled, knowing that the spirit of community and the bond of love would continue to shine brightly. As the stars twinkled above, Ada knew her story was just the beginning.